All right. So the next campaign we are setting up here is our retention based campaign. The retention campaign is 100% focused on people who have purchased from you before. This does not mean that they almost purchased. This doesn't mean that they gave their credit card details and it failed. This means they purchased from you, they received the product. This is super important. So, in our handy dandy ads manager, we're going to go ahead and create a new sales campaign. We're going to call this ML retention. You can call this existing customer if you want. I like to call it retention. In this campaign, we are going to set up campaign budget, but there's going to be a caveat for campaign budget versus ABO as well here. We're going to set this with the same CPM calculator we used in retargeting. I'm just going to rename this retargeting / retention budget calculator. Now, in this case, you're going to take the total number of people who have ever purchased from you before. We're going to cut it by 50%. Yeah, big. So let's say we had 1,000 people purchase. This is only going to be 500, which means if we only had ever 500 people purchase from us, that means our daily budget's only going to be $8.75. I'm going to keep it simple and put it to $10. So our daily budget of $10. We're keeping our campaign bid strategy, highest volume or value. Everything here remains untouched. Our audience segments reporting are untouched, and therefore they should be set as usual. And if we go into our ad set, we're going to then call this first ad set purchase _ 180. This is going to be anyone who's purchased from us in the last 180 days. We're going to change this to just website. We're going to maximize number of conversions. Make sure your pixel and your purchase event are set up. No cost cap, no value rules. And then our attribution settings should be 7-day click, 1-day view. It could also be 7-day click, 1-day engaged, and 1-day view. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, in our audience section, very important, very similar to our retargeting setup here. We're going to click further limit the reach of our ads, switch the setup. In our custom audience section, we are going to then push in our purchase 180 days. So we purchase 180. And then you also want to pull in your Klaviyo purchase 180. So for this case, I have my purchase 365. So you can, in this case, either put in your purchase 180 with your Klaviyo purchase 180, or you could put in a full purchase 365. If you did this right here, this would become purchase all time. Now, what I would actually recommend is a little different. So I would do this instead. I would do purchase 180. We're unselecting use as a suggestion, and then we're done here. The next thing we're going to do, let's get rid of this ad. We're going to get to those later. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. We're going to change this to purchase all time. And this is going to be the same thing as we did before, minus the 180. So we're going to take this 180. We're going to exclude here. We're then going to add the Klaviyo 365. So what I was trying to say before, and excuse my stuttering, was we could either group these together as one single ad set, keep it all together, or we could break it out. If you're a slightly larger brand, break it out. If you are not, if you're a smaller brand, group it together. To be honest, it doesn't make too big of a difference, but usually what winds up happening is this purchase 180 days right here tends to work a little bit better, and the purchase all time tends to work a little bit worse. And therefore, it's helpful to allow Facebook to spend the budget to the better performing ad set, even if it's just slightly. Now, I do want to share here the difference between campaign budget and ad set budget for this specific campaign. If you did have these two ad sets broken out, it is completely acceptable to run ad set budget. So if you did run ad set budget, don't worry about this flag. This is a one unique case that we're doing this for. If you did have ad set budget, you're still setting your budgets in the same way that you set up here, which might just mean $5 and $5. But what you're going to be looking for in this campaign in particular is that when you look at your metrics, I'll just go to the retention-based campaign. Okay, so just pay attention to the purchase 180 days and the purchase all time here. We don't have metrics, so it doesn't matter too much. But what you're going to look at is when you're in your column set here, you're going to want to pay attention to frequency for each of the ad sets. If your frequency is ever going above a ridiculous amount, which would generally be 10 impressions or 10 frequency over a 7-day period, then you could lower the budget on that specific ad set. So what might happen, this is very common, is you might have both of these set up to say $5 per day. This is a very, very low example here. It might be $100 per day. Both of these set up to $5 per day. And if you're in a CBO environment, you might instead, one might spend all the cash, which is okay. But if the frequency is very high, then you need to make sure that it's a little bit more of a balance. We just are managing these on a frequency because they're such low budget. Like, we're not shaking over $5 a day, but we don't want to overspend on our existing customers and we don't want to underspend on those existing customers. So we just care about what's the frequency. If it's over 7 on a 7-day period, you're fine. If it's over 10, you got to lower budget a little bit. If it's under 7, you could increase budget slightly. You want it in that 7 to 10 range. That tends to be the very healthy position for hitting existing customers. Because what that means is they see an ad just about every day on average. Some people see a few, some people see a little bit less. Cool. So that right there is our core of our setup, right? At this point, if you've watched all 3 of these videos, you've seen prospecting, retargeting, and retention here. I'm going to go through one final campaign in the next video.